things to either go, okay, Python, you secondary up and you put him, I say secondary, you put him in the primary position and you put Maka in, the simpler angles and you go, okay, he can in-game lead now because he's on a slightly quieter angle. He's a slightly better position. Or to even, as you said, just entirely go, Maka's going to pick up a rifle this round. Maka's going to drop to an SMG because he needs to get his hands on something a little bit better. But no vetoes. We're diving right into the action with Inferno, picked by the Akimbo boys. It's Dust 2 picked up by HEET. Overpass as the decider. And of course, as such, it's going to be HEET starting on the CT side of Inferno.
Yeah, which is going to be a positive. As I mentioned, it was the T side here where Akimbo struggled in their match against Copenhagen Flames, starting off going down 0-7 rather. And then, to be fair, pulling off a pretty impressive comeback. So we'll see if they can at least have a stronger start here today, because I do think it's necessary. As for now, Banana Control's taken a little bit of presence around the top of mid, and it does seem like B is going to be the goal. And with only body in position as well. Sure, he's got a smoke, which could slow it down a bit, maybe a nade that does some damage, but there's still a ton of time on that clock as well. So really the goal is right now just to make the CT's question. And they haven't really done that. They're walking back into the stack. A quick pick from Afro, and a very early warning.
Oh, exercise from under the pit's going to get a second as well. And this crossfire, it's well set up. Python does well to even get one kill, but they're being stripped down. Kyojin left in the 1v4. Absolutely nothing to do. Lucky connects for the finale. And well, it looked for a split second like Akimbo were going to read that correctly. They had the initial presence, but with just one thing going wrong, they try and double back and they walk right into the fattest of CT pistol stacks you will ever see on Inferno.
Yeah, that was nasty. Absolutely nothing lucky about that. Pun completely intended, of course, but they just kind of, I guess, stuck to their call right there. Didn't question themselves at all, despite the player over on B even taking a small bit of damage. And I like the initiative of the peak from Afro. Up Banana, though, to CZ for Kyojin's already got one. And a solid trade from Maka is actually giving them full control of this B bomb site. They've got good time to get the bomb down, and they've got these advanced after plants.
T-side force already yielding success. Tucked in as well. This is going to be nightmarish. Afro on the scout, trying to spam through, see if he can find any kind of connection, but I think this is going to have to be the save call. Afro tagged down through the smoke. 2 M4A1 saved into the next round. The scout alongside them. It won't be the worst of 4 spies in the world for the CT side, so they're going to have to commit to it. Dropping back deep into CT spawn. Holding it just for now is Afro to see if maybe there's an exit frag to be had, but Akimbo have managed to thread that needle beautifully as well. Out through T-spawn, through down Banana. They'll be saving. A couple of MP9s picked up off of corpses. A couple of MAC-10s maintained as well. Kyojin just absolutely barreling up Banana. Almost single-handedly opens up that B site.
Yeah, basically was single-handedly. Obviously goes down immediately after getting that kill, but he created the space. He caught the first player rotating back to the CT spawn, so then the player in on the site is fully alone, and it just allows the rest of those players to not have to worry about a crossfire. And yeah, with that, an easy trade was found. And even then, a good call to make sure they went a bit more aggressive with that afterplant and got those MAC-10s up close. Nice pick by Haji. I'm going to presume that was up mid through the smoke. It looks to be the case anyway. A little bit of aggression maybe around Banana here. It could backfire though. Kios is in a strong position to punish. Blinded up close. Joko had no idea that Kios was already closing in on him. And well, with that now, Body can't really afford to stick around. He's got to back off. He will be allowed to do so. As he drops his smoke now, he won't have a ton left to hold off on this bomb site as he's left alone.
Only an MP9 to work with as well. No utility, still 1 minute and 15 on the clock, and you can see Akimbo starting to think about it. 3 players queued up behind that smoke. Lucky looking to catch out the lurk. Will take Kyojin down low, and Body on the drive-by manages to find the kill. Low HP, Kios will be taken out. Body trying to do all he can, but that leaves him vulnerable. Python through the smoke will deal with him. And it's a big question now for this CT side. Exercise has managed to kill the lurker, but again, Haji through the smoke. He found the opening kill, and he's found the one that may well decide this round. Exercise with a 1v2 to contend with. Has got a smoke and a flashbang. He's going to really struggle to isolate these fights without the Molotov. Python tucked in behind news boxes can just make a nuisance of himself. Haji tucked behind the coffins. Will get his head ripped off early. Python now into the 1v1. Molotov picked up by Exercise as well, but he's going to just try and ninja it, and Python is there. Takes his head clean off to find Akimbo their second. The economy breaks for HEET, and this is the perfect T-side start for Akimbo.
Yeah, pretty much just textbook there in the end as well to play off of each other. The man in dark goes down. Python realizes there's not a lot of time, just hooks in, and yeah, with the pressure at that point mounting on Exercise, he had to go for it. Exercise to me is being he's been kind of up and down on the roster. He either just does his role in a match, or else he has an absolutely fantastic game, which can be a nice addition when he's not really necessarily the man that you need to do that. They've already got all their fraggers in the form of Afro, Joko as well, Lucky and Body, so it is a nice addition, definitely. Kept them on as a stable fifth now for a while, after we said initially having a bit of trouble getting that stable fifth. Nice nade in, good spray down as well, and yeah, kind of as we're expecting here, nothing really being done. Kios takes one bullet, I believe, and that was all, and that might have even been from a teammate from behind. Either way, 3-1 from Akimbo, and this is the exact opposite of how they started versus Copenhagen Flames. It's exactly what we needed to see.
It's exactly what we wanted. A little bit of confidence, a little bit of a build-up. Kyojin struggling a little bit, but he did get that critical CZ kill that really swung the tide of these early rounds, so that's something to build on. Bai comes out for the CT side, but it's stripped back, limited in the utility. No defuse kit, if I'm not mistaken, either. A couple of players, in fact, defuse sacrificing head armor, vulnerable to that Mac 10 as Kyojin opens things up again. Afro having a nightmarish time towards top mid, and they're going to charge through off the back of it. Maka baits Haji beautifully to find the kill onto Exercise. And again, well, welcome to the Inferno meta, ladies and gentlemen. We're not 20 seconds into the round of the CT side. They've already got to resign themselves to saving. That A site lost, and there is absolutely no way you're giving a 3v5 retake a go.
Yeah, I seem to have been very wrong with my predictions so far, Wolfie. I hate you for throwing me under the bus and making me actually make one. We don't normally do it. But yeah, this is rough. I mean, just jumping around corners right there. I think that kill from Haji was he mid-air with an M4 and gets a headshot through the corner of the pillar and on short. It's ridiculous, but it sums up how these couple of rounds have been going for HEET. A good start on the pistol when they had the heavy stack, but since then it's just been, in terms of even players evenly matched, it's been all for Akimbo. And, well, they are moving this back over towards B to try and at least take the guns out of Body's hand. There is the second player here as well, I believe. Yeah, Lucky, but he's not really fighting, so it should be good. And I don't think Body's going to go down in the end either. I'm kind of surprised he stuck around spamming for so long right there. A little bit risky, keeping them at bay for as long as possible. But look at the economy already for Akimbo, and it's not going to cease building as of yet, because they have this round here as well. We're sure there's 2 saved M4s, but there's not really going to be much behind that apart from maybe a few pistols.
This is the problem now. That CT economy already broken. Difficult beast to maintain control over on Inferno especially, but all maps at the moment, the meta really swinging that way. As Lucky, well, when you've only got 2 rifles, you've got to try and be a little bit cheeky with it, boosting over the top of a deep mid smoke. Seeing what he can see. Haji has taken some early damage, Maka as well. Ideally, HEET looking just to pick one of these rifles off. Nab something for one of those pistol players to upgrade onto. Give them a little bit of breathing room. Because you need damage now. You can't afford, with the economy already knocking on the door of $8,000, $9,000 on each of those Akimbo players, you can't afford for them to be getting easy wins. Need to be starting to strip away the rifles to make it expensive. And well, a little bit of a read. HEET starting to rotate over towards B site. The problem is Body already down. And that's a rifle dropped. It is recoverable in towards CT, but you can see Jocko boosted up, doesn't want to make the sound cue, doesn't want to drop down to get it. Keels is just holding, waiting for the exact peak that he knows will be coming his way, and he gets the second as well. That's both the rifles swinging, both of them removed from the equation, and at this point, well, Jocko's managed to salvage at least one of them. Must have bounced up to him as the execute starts to come in towards this B site, but it's all a ruse. Low HP, Haji continuing to frag out regardless. And he's actually going to call the bomb all the way back with Afro alone. Coffins with a P250. 20 seconds. If he can potentially deny this bomb, he could make something of it. The problem is there's just so many bodies coming his way and he can't get anything. Haji on low HP finds another. It's a 5th round on the board for Akimbo. And it's all 5 players alive.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because it looked like Exercise might have had the time in at top mid as well. He was trying to lurk around and see if he could maybe even take one weapon out of play, perhaps even recover it. But no, they don't get away with anything at all. This is just being a rough start for HEET, and they're going to need to take it up a notch. And now they get the chance to. They get the up on Afro. They have all the nades they could ask for behind the rifles. But again, the same can be said for Akimbo, who eats some nade damage early on. It's actually Kios who takes the brunt of it. A peek in behind now for Joko is good for 2. The flash did catch body perfectly. He was the low health player anyway, so that was an easy finish. It was a nice transfer on the second. And it looks like that might even push these T's forward into making a play. But the problem is, they don't have the bomb with them. It's all the way back on Haji.
They don't look like they're entirely sure on this commitment either, with the second smoke deep banana. Akimbo just starting to second guess and think that maybe that heavy A rotation that's so common these days on Inferno has come through. Jocko picks up a fallen smoke to just refresh that bottom banana control. Still time on the clock for Akimbo. A minute to play with. They'll start to use that little bit of utility they've got to try and lock out some of these angles. Afro hoping for a timing. Not to be, however, as now that pressure is going to make its way back towards banana. All three players grouping up. Jocko does very well. Jump spots out, sees several bodies headed his way, but the rotation's slow. They've got the utility for a full execute on the Akimbo side of things here, and Afro is only just starting to make his way into CT. Will be smoked off from the hit. A big choice to be made. He's going to be pot flash through Paul. He wants to commit. He wants to fight. The flash is raining in from the T side now as Jocko. A lot to do, and Haji takes his head. Will be traded through the smoke on low HP, and that's the bomb. Dropped in amongst it. Python just about able to dive in and grab it, as Kyojin actually deals with Lucky to keep it competitive. 2 on 3. Kyojin desperately trying to keep his planter alive. Another second, and that's all he needs. Python, the AWP in CT gone. And suddenly this starts to feel winnable. 2 on 2. One flashbang for the CT side to get back into this, and that's on Exercise. Coming in from Banana, they'll look to swing the angles together. One spotted, one dealt with, and it's all on to the last man. Exercise, he knows where both are, but he can't connect the second. Python looking incredibly crispy. 6 and 1. Rips another head clean off to get Akimbo their 6th, and that was a 3v5 conversion.
Damn, that was nasty, and I thought Python was in trouble after recovering that bomb. He had to jump back through the molly. That brings him down to 54 health, and you're thinking, damn, and a 2 on 4, I think it was at that stage. That's not where you want to be, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't hinder him at all. He gets all of the work done. Bar, I believe, that kill that Kyojin, of course, found to ensure that the bomb went down initially. So just great teamwork, and around that he should have had. They had the 5 on 3 as the hit came in. Joko had a decent position. He was only able to get a small bit of damage done. Lucky even then recovered that as best as possible through the smoke to even get the bomb down somewhat into their control, I suppose. They just aren't able to hold it together. They needed to play that retake a little bit more off of each other. I mean, even just let the bomb go down a little bit smoother and peek in together. That wasn't really what they attempted. No one was ready at the same time in order to push forward, and they're paying a hefty price. And Akimbo are the ones who could, at this point, who are rolling in money, so he can't afford to be paying any prices, unfortunately. Nice shot by Maka. I think it's the first time he's bothered with the op, and likely because he picked it up off the body of Afro in that last round.
Yeah, T-side up, not the most popular choice in the world. Even against the pistols as well, it feels a little bit risky, but getting away with it for now. Couple of frags already found, couple of deagles and a P250, all that really remain, and you can see just how desperate HEET are to get some kind of damage out of it. But he will connect for one. Haji goes down. Timing potentially in the apartments for Afros. He finds a second. That's 2 rifles. At least one of them recoverable. He starts to make life that little bit more awkward again, as it's a disjointed offensive. If Body can isolate these 1v1s and just connect a little bit more, it might still be viable. But finally, he's smoked away. Forced to back out of things as the bomb goes down. They'll give this one a go. Of course they will. There's no reason not to, but Maka starts to thin the numbers further, and Kios through the smoke continuing to find success. Exercise, it's 1, but that's all he'll manage to get. Couple of players kept alive. Good economic damage, but at this point, is that really relevant?
No, not really. Not when I look at the fact that, again, Akimbo done most of their work that last day versus Copenhagen Flames when they were over on the CT side. So it's certainly a little bit scary right now for HEET. If they don't turn this around and bring it back to A7 or at least 6-9 for themselves, a kind of worst case scenario, then I feel like Akimbo are definitely setting themselves up for a very quick map. And with Dust 2 being next, despite us initially saying it should be HEET's map, if it's going off the back of a map like this, then I do not know. And again, it's the opening kill. This time, Maka even has an opposing op to challenge, and he wins it outright up against Banana. And with that now, a man disadvantage for HEET to try and recover from. And with that, they're forced to make a gamble. They're going to stack 3 players over towards A. It might be the right decision, though.
A stack is looking viable for now. 5 players headed into it. Body spamming through that smoke, hoping to find a little bit of connection, but Kios has been cheeky. And he's going to be punished for it. Body with the Molotov starts to spam through some more, and now this stack looks more and more viable. 3 players here as the execute looks to come in. Exercise well placed to deal with Kyojin. Body inside of the site finds Haji, and this is starting to fall apart. Maka and Python to try and rescue it. The pop flash down from Python. He chases it into Mini. A leg onto Lucky as well. Starts to make this feel viable as Maka just fakes that plant out. They've drawn the players, but still Lucky lurks within this site. Knows he's got Python isolated, and there's a corner of a smoke for him to try and abuse, but Maka's up for the task. 2-on-2. Surely not again, as Maka continuing to try and find damage. Missed shot. Jocko trying to hide in the smoke, but he's found as well. Not like this. Not like this. Heat Body. The veteran will start to make his rotation. 1-on-2. He spotted out Python. That nade may well do enough damage to convert, but it catches on the lip of the staircase, and now he's pinned in. That bomb continues to tick on down. Trying to isolate. Body knows he's got to find an early 1v1. He spots out Maka. Missed shot, punished as the headshot connects, and 1v1 Maka dancing around that pillar, just trying to stay alive. The bomb so far ticked as Maka, just buying time, will take the headshot. Defuse to come in. He's got enough time to land it. Heat finally find their second, and it is oh so desperately needed.
Damn. That was way too close, though. And just the fact that it even came down into that position in the end is kind of ridiculous. The 1v2, though, from Body. It's a hero play. Is it enough to really light a fire under them now? Because their economy is going to be on the brink coming into this round in order to try and strike back, in order to try and strike and take 2 in a row now. And really, even then, that's not putting a dent in the economy that Akimbo have already built up to this point. They have got plenty for at least 2 more buys on the majority of the players, other than Kyojin's, who's a little bit low, unfortunately. We do have a pause. I'm curious, who exactly is this buy? I'd maybe presume Heat, because they know their buy is obviously so dodgy now coming back into this. But it could just as easily be Akimbo thinking, yeah, we lost 1 gun round here. It was very, very close, maybe in a fashion that we shouldn't have lost as well. Let's have a little chat and come back into this round fresh. It could really be either.
It's the Heaty boys.
It's
taking
okay,
the time out, looking at it, looking at the situation, and realizing, I think, that this is where they need to turn it around. Like you said, right, there is not very many opportunities to have impact and to really start making this CT side even look halfway solid. It has to happen now. It really does. Buy still available. Plenty of economy, as you said, for this T side. CT desperate to have impact. Napalming down Banana to try and find the connection. Chip damage on a couple of players now. Haji and Maka both tagged up. But Banana control will have to be conceded. And the CTs, with that slightly unstable economy, still struggling to really stitch it together. Utility limited, but Body's found the opening.
It's a big find on the Kios as well. Haji goes down. All right, Body. He's really stepping it up now, and it's apparently without even having vision of his opponents. Just catching that spam in through the smoke. Taking out 2 big hitters for Akimbo, and now leaving them in a bit of a rough position where they don't have all that much time remaining to actually get onto the bomb site either. They won't really have an option of moving back towards B unless it was to be done pretty much immediately now. So they should be set in stone on this A commitment, where there is, as we can see, a pretty solid defense. 2 players in on the bomb site, 1 towards the pit. That's going to be Exercise. In terms of nades, though, they only have a single smoke on Lucky, so you'll have to see whether the timing works out on that. It may not even be needed, though. Exercise just taps off the head of Kyojin, an instant dink, and then the follow-up, and at this point, Maka and Python, despite having a ton of money, do they just throw themselves into a bomb site and throw the weapons away? Or do you just hold back and hope someone maybe comes towards you and you can take a weapon or 2 away? And that kind of seems to be the approach right now. A little bit risky, though. They could go down after time.
With Body finding Maka, looks even more likely Python's going to try and plan his escape into the apartments. Lovely flick for 1. Does manage to at least take a single rifle away. But this is more like it from Heat. This is what we were expecting from them. That CT side, you know, we were speaking about Akimbo and up against Copenhagen Flames. Their CT side was by far their superior side. Their Ts really did struggle to get going, like you said. So the fact that they've already strung together 7 rounds puts them in a really solid spot, and it puts all that pressure on HEET to start delivering rounds like the one we've just seen, to start giving themselves opportunities to at least build a half, try and get some kind of idea of how they're going to make this one work. Admittedly, on the map pick of Akimbo, right? So we can't rail on HEET too hard just yet. It's still very early doors, but just the sheer firepower that Akimbo have been delivering has been very worrying already.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it may be the map choice of Akimbo, but I think that was more of a picking towards their own strength rather than any sort of weakness for HEET, because it's a fantastic map for HEET as well. Although, in fairness, we did mention the fact that HEET played a game earlier on today versus Sinners, and it was the map that they actually lost in that matchup 16-13, so maybe that was why it was brought out as well, seen as a little bit of a weakness after already having lost it today. Akimbo probably watching that game, getting ready for what's going on here, maybe taking some tips from Sinners. Would have been interesting if we could have covered that game ourselves to see maybe any sort of similarities in approach to attacking maybe the weaknesses. But Kios, he may have found a bit of timing right there, waited out a little bit too long, but importantly so, that molly comes over from his teammate and forces them back from taking any sort of deep control. Might not be 100% aware, but for now it keeps the options open if they do want to move back. But the damage on Maka could make things a little bit rougher, so they just want to look for some control and start putting that pressure on.
Don't seem to be getting those early picks anymore. Akimbo is the real difference maker. 5-on-5 as they start to just barrel up short now. Triple nade into the pit, but it's not going to find any connection. Dinks exchanged and trades start to come through. Early 1-for-1 will favour this T side as the wrap starts to come through. There's only a couple of very isolated players, and Body, no idea what's coming. Caught by Haji on the wraparound. Still the site is held, but finally, Python, the big headshot, starts to open it up. Lucky in the backlines has found a kill. That'll disrupt the bomb plant as well. Maka was looking to get it down, but has to second guess himself. And now in an even 2-on-2, it's going to isolate Haji massively. Lucky swings wide for the first, and Maka in the 1-on-2 connects the first, but he's known. Pinned into this corner, nothing to do. 4 HP, a single bullet will deal with him. Jocko just got to find the connection. Swinging wide, Maka's trying to bait him, trying to go for the most audacious of flicks. It's not connecting, no scope attempt, but he'll find it on the 5th. Keeps on firing, keeps on timing, and finally he finds it. A 1v2 with 4 HP remaining. Maka comes out on top, and somehow that's the way that Akimbo guarantee the lead at the half.
It was like a B-Tech Kenny S clutch. It's really what it was. It's he played that way too scared. He must not have been aware of how much damage had been done, because if he was, he way easier could have just swung in and hit him with that one bullet. I mean, that was an almost unlosable position. The fact that has gone wrong for HEET is going to be a massive tilter. And I don't see them showing up right now. Maybe they're burned out a little bit after they're having already played a pretty long best of 3 earlier on, but yeah, this is not what I was expecting from them coming into this series, and I think my prediction of a 2-0 for HEET is looking, well, impossible maybe now how Inferno's going, but I don't even know if they're going to be victors anymore, because again, if the individuals keep playing like this, Dust 2 will be a field day for Akimbo.
This could get very rough very quickly, is what you will have to say. Loose spy for the CT side as well. Body on an MP9. Jocko with a deagle. Afro will find the early pick, and that allows for the AK-47 to be salvaged again. These early picks just starting to swing back the way of HEET. The last couple of rounds, they've been the early aggressors. They found the early success. Problem is they need to start holding on to it. Haji trying to be cheeky through a smoke will be punished, but Kyojin again is there to trade and exercise. Reads it beautifully, turns on a spot for a second. And that will be the round done as quickly as it began. Akimbo just trying to be a little cheeky with it, wandering through smokes, looking to catch timings. Nothing given, nothing gained by Akimbo from it. Maka left to try and salvage what he can from the round. If he even takes a couple of rifles away, it puts HEET back on that break point. Those isolated single rounds, hideous in terms of economy for that CT side. If he can take a rifle or two away, this does start to feel like a solid enough round, even without the success.
Yeah, definitely could be. I mean, looking at the economy of Kyojin and Python, though, also, I think it might be... Oh, it might be worthwhile just ensuring the op is safe. Damn near impossible now, though. And yeah, indeed, gets completely caught in between 3 people. The fact that he didn't die immediately though there was just strange. I don't know what the hell happened. Did he dink him through the corner of the door or something? Did he go to like line up the shot, see him starting to flick, maybe step to the side to get into cover and then dink him through the edge? It's the only thing I could see possible because I thought I heard a dink noise. It was a weird one. Either way, 4 rounds for HEET. They're getting themselves up there on the scoreboard. As I said, towards 6 even would be kind of a bare minimum half that they can work with. 7 though, it would be optimal. And again, if they get through this round here safe, if they can do it in a fairly secure way as well and build up their own money, then they could be looking towards that 7 for sure with the economy of Akimbo on breaking point.
Big swing round in the context of this first half. And a little bit of an awkward one for Akimbo as well. Maka's tried that T-side up a few times. It's burnt his money down. It's not worked. And again, they're just going for the straight pop play. Pressure onto Afro as he misses the first shot. And Keel's blinded through the wall. We'll find the opening. It's quickly traded by Lucky at the very least. But now the wrap is starting to come into effect. And Exercise can't bail his teammate out. Still stuck in that pit. They're charging him down from all sides. And he's losing teammates left, right, and center. Exercise with it all to do. He finds the first, drops bomb at his feet. But again, the trades are frantic. And Python is once more left in a 1v1. He's got the bomb on his back. Spots out Jocko. Just tags away at him a little bit. Looking for that early headshot. Not quite finding the connection he's after, though. And now it becomes a game of cat and mouse. Python gonna get that bomb down. No faking it. No messing around. Just wants to get into this late after-part situation. But Jocko's up for the task. Experience trounces talent. HEET will have their 5th. It goes down to the last man. But that should be the economy breaking, like you said, for Akimbo. And it should be a chance for HEET to recover.
Yeah, even had the time to go recover that up and towards the arch as well. Yeah, I mean, it should be. The economy, though, is starting to build up a bit with the loss bonus here as well. It would have been a few rounds now, of course, that have gone the way of HEET, but even then, it's not quite enough for the buy to come out for Akimbo, so they will have to take the 1 eco, maybe some pistols in Kevlar, and with that, perhaps a bit of a wilder play, similar to what we seen early on, which actually was what kind of kicked off this whole thing for Akimbo. Remember, they lost that pistol round. It was an absolute, it was demolition rather towards middle from HEET when they had that A stack. It was afterwards then that the force buy allowed for Akimbo to really get the lead going and get up to 7-1 even at one point. So who knows, maybe these pistols now with a little bit less pressure on their shoulders might get it done. And it doesn't do all that much damage actually down towards Banana, and in return, Joko takes quite a bit himself. Body gets brought down to 47, and while it doesn't seem like a ton, it can help a lot with those pistols in play.
Makes it a single body shot for a Deagle onto body to convert. Again, they're going to double back into this straight A pop. Kyojin first to face into the crosshairs of Afro. Just looking to put pressure on this long AWPer, see if they can force him off his angle, see if they can catch that timing. Smoke will now give them free passage. Afro just spamming away, not going to find the connection. Bracket control conceded, and this is where it starts to get a little interesting. Exercise tucked into Graveyard. Sight player in Lucky to try and back him up as the pop flashes come over the top, but Exercise, it's an absolute field day. Sprays into 4 in quick succession. Afro will steal his ace away, but it's beautifully managed by the boys on HEET. No mistakes made. Exercise looking very clean. Top fragging at the moment, in fact, for HEET. And a solid enough recovery, you have to say, Dean. It's been a rough first half for them, don't get me wrong. Akimbo really showing up initially, but HEET have started to warm up. They've started to get back into this series, and they're scrapping their way to a decent enough CT half.
Yeah, definitely, but again, it was the CT side where Akimbo got most of their work done versus Copenhagen Flames. I think they got 11 of their rounds in that match, if I remember correctly, and then he got 5 on that T side, so it's still a bit of a rough one. If Akimbo especially can get off to a solid start on that CT side, even if they don't get another round here on their T, then I think they're still going to be in a really strong position. So he need to keep this up. They need to keep the pressure on. And, well, Lucky has used that molly incredibly well. Separates the players pushing around long. At least enough to go ahead and do some solid damage onto the follow-up player as well. As Kyojin's left on 1, pushed in towards Library, he can't help his teammates moving on towards the bomb site, and unfortunately because of that, Exercises again from Graveyard able to get some work done, but it's only going to put them into a 2-on-2. It's instead Body that has to give them the advantage as it falls onto Maka. He spots the shadow around short and manages to get that first kill, but now on 9 health, it's a risky one, and he decides to be proactive. He takes the peek against Body and rips his head off to go ahead and send a 9th round onto that scoreboard for Akimbo, and, well, it took them a while to find, but what a way to get it, Wolfie.
Beautiful stuff. Simply beautiful. And well, we are going to throw it to a very quick break, guys. And when we are back, the second half. Not quite able to get it done, not quite able to find it, and it feels like the success was very split, right, Dean? There was the initial success for Akimbo, but it really fell off a cliff then, really started to fall apart, and HEET, they'll feel like they could have taken advantage earlier.
Definitely. I mean, it was a weird one. It still seemed like the individuals of Akimbo still had it there as well as things went on. Just as you were saying, they were kind of struggling to find the early picks, which meant then the actual fights into the bomb sites became much more scrappy. And we seen a few of those rounds then begin to go the way of HEET. But going into the second half now, as I mentioned before, Akimbo, though, they looked more promising on the CT side in that game versus Copenhagen Flames. In general, when you're a new roster, the CT side tends to be a little bit easier as well. So I feel like, especially with that final round of the half for themselves, they can definitely get this going and maybe even run away with that CT if they're able to pick up the pistol for themselves.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see and wait no longer as we are back into the best of the action. Akimbo starting with a narrow lead, 9-6 as they head onto the CT side, by far their more successful side in the only Inferno game we've got with this 5-stack up against the Copenhagen Flames. I'll have to wait and see with bated breath if they can continue that form. Lots of utility picked up into this one. 1 HE, 4 flashbangs. Maka trusted with the kit. It does leave Python as the only player with armor over towards this B site, which is where, for now at the very least, HEET are starting to queue up. All 5 players. Smoke goes into a CT. Pot flash over the top. It's a very early execute. Keel's dealt with immediately. And now Python, under pressure from all angles, does well. Blinded up to get one. The counter flashes are halfway decent. He's dancing, trying to stay alive, and somehow he's got another. That's bombed down at the back of sight. Haji swings in support, and Jocko desperately needs these trades. The flash is continuing to come in, continuing to enable it. And somehow they've retaken the site, Akimbo, before HEET have even got the bomb down.
To continue on a little bit with the form they found in that final round, as we were saying, and now this is where I become incredibly afraid for what HEET are going to be able to do here. Even just looking at the scoreboard, I did not realize how top heavy that was right now, with Exercise all the way up there on 19, followed by Body on 11, Lucky 10. Afro's having a very, very poor game, which is a little bit forgivable for the upper here on Inferno, in fairness, and I don't think it's going to get any easier now for him on the D side. But Akimbo, they're on track to take themselves Inferno here, I've got to say, especially if they can keep it clean for these initial rounds and ensure that they have a strong economy then going on to that first gun round, which is going to be an early one in fairness now with the full eco here from HEET.
Opportunity just for Akimbo to stabilize.
Interesting rotation.
With the early banana control, you'd imagine that they can steal away an extra player over towards A. Instead, like you said, they're trusting it. They're trusting their read, and that could come out to backfire now. Haji, aware that he's left long open for a good while, has just swung across to check it, and well, the Glock of Body will find a very early opening, which leaves Kyojin alone to deal with the entirety of this hit as it wraps in towards the A site. He's being peeked from 2 angles at once. There's nothing he can do. Body on 5 HP, but the FAMAS will find another, and 3 on 3. Keels low on HP. This starts to feel doable. 2 players for now trapped inside the site, but Jocko, oh, he's caught the timing. No, he hasn't. Mac has got his man's back, and that buys the time that Keels needs to swing. It leaves Body 5 HP, 1v2. Nothing he can do. That was very ugly. I think some of the team's inexperience came out there for Akimbo, but they just about get it over the line.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, it comes down somewhat to that initial strange call of sending an extra player over towards the deep banana control. It didn't make a lot of sense. Sure, there was a bit of noise being made. I think there was 2 players spamming their Glocks away a little bit, but you already have 1 deep up close, 1 back on the wall. You're against just Glocks. That's all you've heard being shot as well. Maybe you're not 100% sure. There could be a little bit more in there. but it seemed unnecessary to rotate that third player around. Maybe even just put him in arch so that he's spotting the cross so he can be a quick rotate. Because as we've seen, it did get a little bit dangerous after that initial long player got dropped and left the man up on balcony alone. Either way, though, good damage from HEET. We'll see whether now they can capitalize on it, because if they manage to pick up this first gun round, then the hope will still be alive for sure that they can pull this back into a winnable game. And while the economy being so weak for Akimbo means if they do actually take this round, the CT's economy will be completely destroyed, as we're having a bit of a slower one so far. There was a player who got early in towards Banana. That's lucky, but he's been waiting, I think, just for his teammates to be able to join him. Not wanting to take any more risks than necessary, and he still gets spammed up a little bit for it.
Oh, that headshot angle for Afro. So nearly spotting his man over the top of the smoke. Not quite able to connect, though, and that exchange just continuing to spam away with neither team really finding the connection thereafter. Does mean, again, we're going to see this third rotation stolen over towards the B site. This time, though, a lot more presence given to the bracket lurk. 2 players there with smokes and flashes to take the control, and that keeps Haji busy. That forces him to reevaluate that early rotate and start to make his way back over towards that A site, leaving Python and Kios with 1 smoke between them and 40 seconds left on the clock to stop this entire hit. It's a 2-man setup towards second boxes, and the molly, the nades, oh, they're desperately low, and immediately their heads are ripped off. Jocko burns 1. Haji on the early rotate, desperately scrambling, does at least find a kill, but that's all his team are going to get. For a moment, it looked like Akimbo had the read. They were starting to steal that third man over towards the B site, but he's dragged back by the intelligence of HEET, and from there, 2-on-5, it's all too easy to execute into that B site.
Yeah, fantastic work from all of the boys, really, but good entries from Lucky to pull off too. And even with this one M4 now being saved from Kyojin, it's not really going to give them a lot. He can maybe take some risks and go a bit more aggressive with it in the following round, but in terms of what they're going to buy around it, maybe they go for the force just because there's 2 of them on the double eco, but I don't know, with the 11-7 scoreline that they're going to be sitting at, it's a position where really they'll have to make that call whether they want to play for the long run to try and get a really strong buyout in a couple of gun rounds, or if it's worth buying around the M4. They could also get an M4 on Maka, so that might push them into the force buy a little bit more. I think it would maybe be worth it. It is a map like Inferno, so you can, on some of those weaker players, get the pistols, some nades behind them as well, so that they can play in slightly more, I guess, righty positions, up close and personal. And that does seem to be the goal. Although Mac has kept his money, which I can kind of support. So they've gone in what they can afford and kept a little bit to ensure that the op will be there in the next gun round, and also that Haji's going to have pretty much everything he could ask for as well.
What they could afford and no more. And well, it's already starting to be stripped down. Without the armor, it's very easy for Lucky just to spam through that smoke, find the connection, tears the health down. Very quickly dealt with. And again, with that early man advantage, there's just no need for any kind of over-aggression on HEET. They're happy just to group up, aware now that it's likely only the pistol, certainly no Kevlar. Just looking to tear down these few remaining players. Utility comes out, take no risks. Bracket control conceded, and Kyojin, well, it really is all on his shoulders here. He's got a USP and a Deagle in support. That USP and a 5.7, excuse me. The Deagle is on Maka over towards that B site, so it really is all on Kyojin. The more damage he can find, the better, but he's in an odd spot, trying to play close around these hay bales. Leaves him isolated to a couple of angles. Haji just shouldering, trying to get an idea of where this wrap is coming from. It's going to be the long-short split. Python able to capitalize on the damage of the rifler, but he's on his own now. All his teammates taken away, taken apart by the execute of HEET. And well, 2-on-4, he's going to try and look for a little bit of damage, find what he can, but Jocko's got him pinned to the back wall. Nothing he can do as Maka again. You've seen him in this position a few times, Dean, just looking for exits, looking for any damage, maybe a cheeky rifle to be found, but Jocko's having none of it.
Diamond right there, that is unfortunate. It would have been a nice AK if he expected Joko there. There was no one else nearby, I don't think, or at least close enough to stop him getting away with it. Would have been a nice addition, but it's not too big of a deal. I'll have to take the eco here either way. As we had said, Maka, of course, had kept some money for himself to get that op out in the next round. Haji hadn't spent too much either. I was surprised he didn't at least buy up a pistol, to be honest, in that previous round, because he went for a couple nades, still had 2100, if I remember correctly. But it does give him the chance to go ahead and do so here in this round, maybe get a couple of kills out of it. And they kind of need to, because while the economy isn't in an amazing position quite yet for Heat, it's starting to get there. And if they can take this round with 4 or 5 standing, then they're going to be in a really strong position going forward to at least have a buy or two in the back pocket. It might walk into a bit of a mid stack here. I think it's only the one player trying to probe around, but that could still be scary if he loses the rifle and gives it away. Indeed, being swung on, only able to get away with one. Doesn't do a ton of damage either, but it's going to be Body instead who mows down two. And with that now, a flank from the top of mid is going to seal the deal.
Couple of frags. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more, could you? Given how little they brought into the round, they managed to isolate that initial fight. Maybe you were hoping the rifle would find a cleaner headshot to open things up. It gets a little messy with the spray down, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all, you have to say. And with that gap now at just 2 rounds, Heat really starting to find their feet over on this T side, and you can feel the pressure starting to go back onto this relatively inexperienced, like we said, Akimbo side, who still learning the ropes to a certain extent, still trying to work out how they want to play these. Python to be boosted over the top of the smoke, but Body's gone straight through it, and he'll only get the one. Python, aware of the threat, able to react in time to at least find the even trade, and they're going to keep aggressing as well here. Lucky. The smoke just about shrouds him for now. He's tucked behind the angle, and whoa, Haji very lucky to be alive as he looks to bail out on low HP. Meanwhile, just swings in freely into mid. No real supporting utility there, just trusting his individual skill, and it pays off. Finds a big kill to regain that man advantage for Akimbo, and you can see it's left that T side a little disjointed. Exercise alone in towards the apartments, held off by the CT smoke. Bomb still deep on the bottom of ramp as well as Heat. They need to group here, and with limited utility, they need to find some kind of an execute.
Yeah, and while of course he tries to mask the noise a bit there of the drop, Mac is still going to have a bit of an idea of what was going on right there. Might even catch the timing once he begins to make his way up out of that underpass. No, not quite. Not able to land, and even ends up taking some damage. It will at least give them the warning now for those players towards B that it is going to, of course, be the commitment at this stage. They know it with the nades coming over. And they're doing a great job with just those flashes, of delaying as long as possible. They do manage to hold off a few seconds, but they can't get any kills in the process, and the smoke stopped them from having really any view of the 9, the bomb plant. Just about, though, the kill comes in afterwards, but it's Lucky through the smoke with 2. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. Kyojin just swings from that CT spawn and gets both of them on his own. What a hectic round. I mean, half of the kill feed for me was being blocked by a pop-up. It was hard to even keep track of what was going on at that point.
Absolute chaos. It's the French way, Dean. They don't like to play standard CS. They just like to frag out, and that's exactly what they do. Kyojin swinging in, just trying to isolate, desperately trying to keep his team's hopes alive, and they do just about manage to string it together, Akimbo. They get their 12th. Just 4 rounds away from taking their map pick. It's been a ragged CT side, you have to say. But if they can manage this one, if they can get it over the line, they start to get some way toward breaking that T-side economy. No contest on Banana this time either. Just falling back initially. Instead, charging up mid is Haji. And he's taken so much damage, down to 15. As he lurks behind this smoke. Maka is there to back his man up. But meanwhile, Lucky has actually managed to swing and refrag, and it leaves Haji. They know he's here. They know he's around this smoke. He's got 3 players looking for him. Finally, Jocko will deal with it, and it's only 1 for Kios this time. Kyojin again, this time 1v3 with Lucky in the bottom of mid. Nothing he can do. Head ripped off in an instant. It's double digits for Heat. And Akimbo, again, it's isolated success. This time it's the CT side that's letting them down.
Yeah, surprisingly so. I mean, they'll have to take the eco. Now, in fairness to them, obviously, after losing out that first gun round, their economy was absolutely destroyed, so they do kind of need to try and stabilize it and get some real gun rounds going, but yeah, they're going to have to very likely eco. Well, we know eco this one. The next round as well is one where sure they can consider buying, but it is not going to be perfect, so it'll be interesting to see what they actually do go with. But for now, a bit of a stack over towards B. Interesting. 3 players up close, 1 standing back with the flash, so they do want to go aggressive with it. Sometimes you see players obviously just go a bit more passive, stacked up in the pit, but they want to catch the players as they move around the wall. Maybe catch a lurker if there's someone alone as well. But it doesn't look too likely. It seems like Heat have got a bit of a read of, as they've already taken mid control. And considering they know the fact that they're up against weaker weapons, it makes sense. If you go for that split around A, if you take long, if you move up short at the same time, you're giving them a lot of angles to deal with, but also you're giving them the range that these pistols do not have, but they are able to do that up close in the apps.
Drive by from Haji. Rifle recovered. He tries to charge in, but they're very ready for it around that smoke. Keels does find another dink, and somehow this is getting competitive. Body down on 7 HP, needs his teammates to bail him out. The pistols are pushing through all the smokes, and Python brings it down to a 1v2 with Body on 7 HP. That puts a lot of pressure now onto the shoulders of Jocko. Pop flash, the bomb at the feet of Python as well is making this a very feisty situation. They've just about managed to grab that bomb now as Body will look to plant it. Python flashing himself out, manages to spot out the first fight, but finally this round is put to bed, considering how little they brought into it. Akimbo feeding on the chaos very, very nicely indeed. 3 kills, very nearly more as well. Python, you could see a world where he was going to connect onto that headshot. He was going to make it brutally expensive. Reinvestment as it stands won't be the worst problem in the world for HEET, and with just 1 round the difference, that T side absolutely shining through for the Frenchman.
Some balls at least being shown here by Mackin, knowing that they need to take some initiative if they want to get back into it. And, well, what a shot by Afro. I think that was through the corner of the wall. Realizing, of course, that Mackin was there after taking his teammate down and, well, desperately needing to pull something back. He takes the shot and it works in his favor. Haji's working with a bit of a one-way up in the apps here as well, back-to-back alongside his teammate. The problem is with that, they've allowed for HEET to completely bypass them and wrap around through mid up on long already. Kyojin at least should have won, and that actually is the bomb now. Hang on. He's gone ahead and put a complete stop to this push as they'll have to work their way back up short now to see if they can recover the bomb against all 3 of these CTs. Although, interestingly, Kyojin smoked himself off and ultimated harder for his teammates.
It's not the smoke he was looking for, I don't think, but he's going to try and make it work regardless. Jocko grabs the bomb, but he's on his own now. He's tried to charge on through. He's got 1. He goes late, but he grabs the second, and both of these players now 1 bullet. Kyojin on 19, Jocko on 4. Kyojin's had to switch to the pistol as well. He's limited on the ammo. The Molotov will ensure that Jocko can at least get this bomb down. We've seen this fight before, and we've seen which way it goes. Jocko needs an early kill, but he's not going to be giving it. Kyojin crisp on that USP, even finding the headshot utterly unnecessary, but he'll take it. Grabs Akimbo a 13th, keeps their hopes alive on this CT side. It has been desperately scrappy to find any kind of consistency, and if Jocko had held his spray there, he had all 3 kills. He had the round in the palm of his hands. He just let go a split second too early, and Kyojin takes full advantage.
Yeah, they managed to just about salvage the round and get themselves across the line. But again, the pressure had been kept on by HEET throughout these past few rounds now. So the rebuy, as you can see, is not an easy one at all. Akimbo are having a pause, I do believe, to see exactly what they're going to be able to pull out. But already you can presume at least 2 SMGs on towards Haji and Python. And Kioz, if he wants that rifle, is going to be limited to pretty much no nades behind this, so it's a bit of a rough one for sure. Python's actually gotten himself an M4. Been dropped over by Maka, so they've got a little bit more use out of it right there. Kioz, as I said, shouldn't really have any nades. He could maybe be dropped a couple by a teammate. Obviously, that's something that can happen now. But he decides to just go for the FAMAS. Not a bad weapon on Inferno and Furnace, especially if you're playing it up close around Banana on that half wall, which looks to be where he's going to bring it to back up Maka. And actually Python, they're going to put both FAMASs over, maybe to get that deeper control.
Just hoping, aware how crucial these rounds are. Hot flash to retake Banana will force Maka off his first angle of choice. Hoping perhaps that AWP can bolster the 2 FAMAS over towards B, but with the shots of the AWP still ringing in their ears, HEET have opted to back away from it entirely and instead look to wrap early. And this is a full commit on the rotation from the CT side. All 5 players here, but Body has dealt with the first, Afro the second, and Maka, well, he's caught in amongst the smoke. They know he's here somewhere. He hasn't got a rifle to find multiple kills, and he shot the wrong man. Kyojin's taken out his, but he will recover. Grabs the second frag, and that's bombed down in an even 3-on-3. HEET looking incredibly splintered now, but that may well play to their advantage. Maka knows there was likely someone out long, and he will be able to find the kill to keep it even in the 1v1, but Exercise, meanwhile, has grabbed a couple of frags to keep his team in it. The bomb is down, and that's going to be the major issue now. CT Molotov has bought Maka time to reposition. Starts to work his way into the library, but it's read beautifully by Exercise, who finds the headshot through the skirting board around the edges of the door. The gap narrows to 1 round again. The CT economy breaks. I can't even begin to think how many times I've said that. Akimbo, this is their map pick. They had so much success on the T side, but it's just starting to slip away now.
Yeah, I mean, this time the clutch goes the way of HEET, unlike in that previous round, and with that now, it's probably going to give them a second off the back of it. Even then, the buy and this follow, and while it should be there for Akimbo, is not going to be quite perfect, so it's a very dangerous position to be in. It looked like Akimbo, when they had that 7-1 scoreline, were set up to run away with Inferno and to put themselves into a fantastic position moving on to Dust 2, which on paper should be a pretty difficult map for them because we just don't know what to expect. We haven't seen this roster play as of yet. But if they had have kept up the early momentum, then it would have been perhaps doable. But at the moment, it looks like they've kind of woken up, and I don't know if they can be stopped at this point. We'll have to see. For now, anyway, it's not going to happen. There's a Zeus and a smoke, so unless a miracle comes true right now for Akimbo, they're all going to sit back and pray while Haji goes out with that Zeus, perhaps. I suppose you could pray into the Greek gods in that case, right? You're trying to get the Zeus to do something.
Yeah,
there we go.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, no. That's
and with that,
looked like it was close enough to do some damage, but apparently none at all.
Must have missed. Must have gone between the two. A little unfortunate, but off the back of it, you can see HEET are going to realise that B-bomb site is wide open for the taking. I could see the logic there, right? What you're hoping is Haji gets an isolated Zeus, picks up a rifle, drops his smoke and retreats to the site. But what happens when he misses the Zeus is that he gives his smoke away for free. The B-bomb site is wide open for the taking. And you've got 4 USPs who are now sat thinking, do we bother saving here? Do we run into a MAC-10 and give them a load of cash? It's not a good look for Akimbo, this one. And as things level out at 13 apiece, it is starting to feel, like you said, Dean, that HEET have just woken up into this series. 27 kills for Exercise, 22 for Body, 18 for Lucky and Jocko, respectively. Only player above that is Python for Akimbo. Everyone else beneath it. Afro struggling, but Orpa on Inferno T side, fair play, mate. We can deal with those struggles. We can accept that. The problem for Akimbo is they are running out of opportunities to make their own map pick a successful one.
Yeah, it's getting to that stage. As you said, at least they shouldn't be feeding too much over to this MAC-10. Lucky wasn't really willing to throw his life away in order to move in, knowing that even into this gun round, that MAC-10 will probably still be pretty useful. I think there'll be some helmets lacking for sure. Yeah, you can see already on Kyojin and Maka that's the case, and might be the same with some of those other players. The majority it is only Haji bothers to go towards the helmet. So yeah, it's a rough one. There's not a lot of nades behind this either. You're gonna ideally need an early pick here from Maka to try and open things up and take off a bit of pressure. And we'll have to see exactly how they're gonna approach it, because for now they're just sending Kios over towards B on his own. They're not really being too proactive in terms of taking peeks on mid either. I think they might be boosting up on quad though. So I do like this as a bit of a change now.
Something had to change. They had to try something a little different. The problem is, again, it leaves that B-bomb site very open. This time, at least, you got Keels there. He's got a rifle. He's got a smoke. But it puts a lot of pressure on that one individual. Afro posted. Oh, no idea. Maka just wanders into it. That starts to make life incredibly awkward now for the CT side. Nobody in towards the pit. The lurk smoke out of the apartments puts some real pressure on this double hold towards short, and they're actually going to bomb out of it. Akimbo with no control in towards pit and mini pit. They've given that whole swathe of map control up. Jocko looking to lurk across the smokes, and this starts to get very chaotic now. Haji flashed in by his teammate, deals with the first and the second, but they've left the B-bomb site entirely, and you can see HEET have started to twig it. They will back off. They will head into B. They'll get that bomb down for free. And now it is all on Akimbo's shoulders. How do they want to play this? 3 players already charging down Banana. Haji has bought them time. And he's bought them an opportunity into this round. But can they do it 3-on-4? 3 players still not being quiet about this either. Just absolutely pelting it up towards that B site. The Molotov will keep them trapped for a while at least. Flashes over the top. They know they need to isolate these early fights. They've got the man advantage. Clean trades will do it. And Afro legged up early, but it's Body who draws first blood. Now playing around the edges of those smokes, but he's losing his teammates as he manages to find the second trade. He knows Afro's low, but it doesn't matter. It's all Body. A quad kill from behind the coffins. Gets HEET their 14th. Once again, it's going to be a half buy for Akimbo. Oh, they had their opportunity there, Dean. Hadji bailed him out, but somehow Body manages to bail Heat out one better.
Absolutely nasty. Pinned in that corner as well. If the smoke fades away even a second or two earlier, then he's likely getting double peaked from Banana and the CT spawn. Instead, it allows him to isolate those fights, and it works out perfectly in Heat's case, that is. 14-13, we get another pause. This one has got to be by Akimbo, as they're left in the dust now. They don't have the economy to buy here. They're going to have to very likely just play for that overtime. And I like what we're getting from Heat now. Body's taking it up a notch. Exercise has been playing a really strong game in general. He's maybe slowed down a little bit over the past few rounds, but obviously he started getting that help as well. And this is with Afro not performing, which again can be forgiven a little bit on a map like Inferno. When you're rocking that up, it can be tough to get going, really. But again, I like what we're getting from Body. With a name like Body on a team like Heat, Body Heat, maybe it's make love, not war.
You know, sometimes I just don't know where to go with the things you say, Dean. And this is is one of those moments. We just got to let it just hang there, haven't we? It's just like, okay, that's just going to sit there. At the moment, this is a timeout from Akimbo, but it very quickly rolls into a full tech from Heat.
Oof.
So initial timeout is called by Akimbo, which you can sort of understand, right?
Their brains melted.
Exactly. You look at their economy, you look at their situation, and well, who can blame them for getting a little, brain melty, go out the ears? But then it's the technical pause. Luckily, that is all resolved nice and quickly. And well, Akimbo, they're going to half buy into this, and they're going to play for the OT. Leaves them with an MP9, Deagle, 257s. HE stacked down mid to be called early, and that will start to chip away at Afro, but not quite as much damage as they would have hoped. Still an early 1-for-1 trade, though. That's the AWP recovered, and again, in the chaos, these lesser weapons are getting a lot done. Body trying to stabilize the ship, finds a critical kill onto Hadji. And you can see Heat looking a little bit nervy here, as Giels is going to go through this smoke, but it's Body again. 3 in the round. He's just reading everything that Akimbo are trying to throw at him. Leaves Maka on his own, Deagle to work with. Heat in no rush to retake a site either. Aware that off the back of that early aggression, it leaves them with so much time just to plan this hit out. And to be perfectly realistic, they know that this is only a half by now. They know the weapons that have been thrown at them. So they'll be aware that all they need to do here is they need to group up. They need to trade each other once. That will be map point. That will be their 2 opportunities to steal their opposition's map pick away. And well, Body, a little bit more of that game sense to work with, making absolutely sure that AWP won't be picked up by the opposition AWPer of Maka. Drops it away. They'll head over towards this B site. They'll start to realize very shortly that it's free for the taking. And well, Maka, if there was an AWP to salvage, I'm sure he'd love to save it, but Body's just a little bit too quick for that.
Yeah, you need a combination of really long arms and really long legs if you wanted to get that back. So, not happening. But yeah, I think that was probably a worthwhile throw out as well. Considering Afro hasn't been having a great game so far on the up, you don't necessarily need it in his hands in the next round, so just get it out of play. It's not worth keeping, even though it's a pretty hefty investment. Maka, he's looking around. Is there going to be anything? There's a rifle, I believe. So he should have himself at least an AK. You're not going to find the up, Maka. Give up on it already. Should get away. I don't think he wants to stick around and try and take any weapons with him, especially with, of course, the pressure that's mounting on them now to ensure that these next 2 rounds are taken. An AK is going to be a massive help. Quick snack. Oh. You don't see that wallbang work out very often. It always gets really close, though. Whoever you're watching is always just about scooting around dodging bullets.
It's like the apps wallbang and B on Mirage. It's just, you never hit it, but everyone always tries. It always sounds close, but no cigar. And well, at the moment, close but no cigar is a pretty apt description of the CT side of Akimbo, just not quite getting it done. And they have left themselves with 2 must-win rounds to prevent themselves from losing their own map pick. Maka trying to be very cheeky with this, and I'm not sure that's the play, because Lucky's being even cheekier through the smoke. It's Kios who's punished for Maka's sins. Hot flash around the wall just to make sure there's no re-aggression either, and that is a big opening frag to find. Lucky, he's been toying with that smoke a few times. We've seen a couple of players from Heat look to abuse the gaps, the edges. More success found, and well, now He's just got to keep them busy over towards B. It's going to be the A site hit. There's 4 players there already. He's joining as the 5th from bottom of mid to throw a little bit of extra utility. The re-aggression is going to come up short from 2 players on the CT side. It's an impromptu boost to try and get Hadji up onto an off angle, aware perhaps that it's going to take something a little special. The nade goes too deep, and here comes the pop. Kyojin kept out by the flashes and the smokes, can do nothing about it initially. Hadji chooses to drop, and it's right into the crosshairs of Afro. Kyojin, we need some of that aim, son, and he's only good for the first. Jocko immediately there to back his team up, and 2-on-4. Python wants to go early, but he's isolated his teammates all the way bottom of mid, and he's yet to even make it to bracket. So Python, really a one-man army here, is trying to do all he can to buy time. The bomb is still down in the open, and that potentially presented half a chance, but as Afro manages to steal it into the site itself, it's going to be a 2-on-4 retake. An AWP and an M4 to keep your hopes of Inferno alive, Akimbo. You've got to give it a go. You've got to roll the dice. Molotov goes into the pit, but Maka's not there. The timing's just not quite right. Now he's spotted, and he'll be dealt with by Jocko. Python can only find the one, and that is it. It will be HEET who take the map pick of Akimbo, get themselves the 1-0, and well, after the break, we'll have to break down just how that went so wrong for Akimbo.